What is up, RotoGrinders? Last time for 5-6 days, give or take. NBA DFS, 90 minutes of nonstop NBA DFS conversation starts right now. We take you all the way up to 8 o'clock. That's right, 8 o'clock is the very first game tonight. We have a sprint slate. The entire slate tips off in air quotes, between 8 and 9 on the East Coast. Every team playing basketball tonight, all 10 of them, every single one of them, the back half of a back-to-back. I have the injury report up and ready to go. Somewhat surprised. I thought we were going to get some stuff from Golden State. Steve Kerr hinted last night he was not happy with his team playing tonight after playing a late tip-off game last night to accommodate, I believe, ESPN. There's only one national TV game tonight. That is Minnesota. Minnesota taking on OKC. We have Ant. Ant Edwards is questionable. Many players are questionable. Not just Edwards, but Gobert, Conley as well. All three of those from the T-Wolves. Other pieces that are questionable that are important: Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving. I'll just go ahead and drop the Situation Room link in chat. It is Chop, myself, and Chopper, and producer extraordinaire, the multitasker that is TJ. TJ's Warwick, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatchewan, Canada. I haven't said that in a while, TJ. Feel like we haven't crossed paths often enough. We have a good slate. I love this setup. I love 5 games in a really tight window. A lot of stuff still up in the air, but it's also a Fleet Thursday. We can go ahead and drop that clue for Fleet Thursday as well for the people. Let me know what athlete we're talking about in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Live stream chat channel. Get yourself a week free of RG Premium if you're the first person to guess what athlete I'm talking about. The first clue is Cat. Cat, what's up, TJ?
Not too much. Yeah, you're right. It has been a while. I shout out to producer Steve, who is not feeling too well today, so he asked me to sub in, and I said to him, I think I'm actually just gonna hop on for Grinders Live as well, because it's been a while since I've gotten to hang out with Dean. Been a while since I got to hang out with Chop, and I couldn't do the crunch time slate because I'm not going to be at my video, at my camera and my microphone for it, so I'll still just be behind the scenes for that one. But we got a fun little slate here, and I haven't been on for a while, so I wanted to come hang out.
Chopper, how about yourself? How are things? Happy Thursday. Happy last day of NBA for until next Wednesday or next Thursday. I haven't looked, but I think about 5 or 6 days or so. No NHL as well, which is a bummer. They got the Four Nations going on, which is fun, but it's not, for DFS. I like to kind of cross over and dabble in those streets for better or worse during the NBA All-Star break. But yeah, no NHL and no NBA, of course, no baseball just yet, no football. I guess there's college basketball, but who wants that? I guess Chop does. What's up, Chop?
What up, Dean? How's it hanging, bro?
Oh, it's spectacular.
It's a Thursday last one. I'm ready for a good little NBA break. NBA kind of stinks, but it is what it is.
I think we're going to end with a good one. It's a good slate, I think.
It's a good slate? I don't know. We'll see. I'll tell you that in a few hours, but
sure.
It just seems like it gets tougher and tougher, man. Every year and then every month here as the year winds down. It gets tougher and tougher with these guys, but hopefully tonight there's no shenanigans, Dean. We don't want no shenanigans. That's the key to it all, man.
I thought we were going to get shenanigans for sure. This is the perfect setup. All these teams, every team, back half of a back-to-back. Nobody had their injury report was not submitted. Nobody has submitted an injury report until 1:30. Kerr basically teased it last night that his vets aren't going to play, but as of right now, I assume this is the way it's going to stand. It's just Kuminga being out for Golden State. Obviously nothing new with Houston. FBV is out. Jabari Smith is out. Leeson is out as well. We have a rematch of Sacramento, New Orleans. We'll talk about that in a second. So because Zion played last night, he can't play tonight. So all that stuff is pretty well known, but there are some big pieces later on in the slate. I say later on, half hour into it. Bam is questionable, which is a big deal. They had in that Miami, again, back half of back-to-back and travel to Dallas. They ruled out Terry Rozier. There's been illness going through their team as well. I think 4 different players were ill. Now Wiggins is ill. He's out as well. For Dallas, Kyrie Irving, he's got that shoulder. They played an overtime game last night as well. The vet Klay Thompson is also questionable. They have no bigs. They're just out of bigs. And then, OKC, nothing new, but Minnesota, which is later on in the slate. We don't know about Ant. We don't know about Gobert. And we don't know about Connolly. So lots of stuff still to be determined. And maybe I'm curious when we're going to get some of this information. Maybe Crunch Time gets it. Maybe we get like the 8:30 stuff right at 8. But we'll see how accommodating
before lock, because I'm going to a movie as soon as lock hits. And so I was like, I'm a fool. And so I was like, okay, cool. NBA show today. I'll do 150 lineups. Slate locks at 7 o'clock Eastern, like it usually does. Go to my movie an hour and a half after that. Nope, not today. And so I already had the lineups inputted before I actually looked at the start time. And so I will be needing all of this news to come in before lock, because anything after, I'm not going to be looking. I'm just going to let it ride.
All right, Chop. Anything big picture-wise as far as this slate you want to say that you want to point out that's worth noting, or shall we just kind of figure it out organically as we go by game?
I'm into the organics now, so let's just do it organically.
All right, Chop. Are you also you haven't even guessed yet for the Fleet Thursday? You're not playing along here in the private chat, or you got nothing? I saw some people in the chat.
Cat. Yeah, I haven't even. I gotta look at that.
That's all right.
I was busy because you said Steve Kerr was upset, and it just got me looking at something else on the schedule, and I went down a whole rabbit hole. Still, tell Steve Kerr to zip his pie hole if you ever get a chance to talk to him. He's facing a team, the Rockets. Just did the math real quick, Dean. 16 games in 28 days.
It's ridiculous.
4 travel back-to-backs, and this is 2 Clevelands, a Boston, a Denver, an Atlanta, Memphis, New York. These are tough teams. So Kerr, come on, man, give it a rest, brother.
Well, they also had a late start time to accommodate national TV, which he was also upset about. They got into Houston. He was saying they're going to get in around 3:00 in the morning, so that's what he was upset about. By the way,
me, Dean, you don't even start your last movie till 3 a.m.
But I'm also not waking up the next day to play an NBA basketball game, but that's a fair point. By the way, side note, you probably remember this, Chop. This is a rematch of that the play-in game. I mean, not the play-in game, the NBA the tournament. Remember earlier in the season when Golden State played Houston and there was a terrible call against Golden State and they gifted the Rockets victory, and Kerr was upset that night too. He was also in the presser. He was fired up. The other thing that was noteworthy about that is that score was 90-91. I just thought that was interesting. Really, really low scoring game when they played earlier in the season with the in-season tournament. That's the second game we'll talk about. First game is Sacramento, the Kings and the Pels. Speaking of rematches, this is a rematch of exactly what happened last night, except no Zion. No Zion for New Orleans.
We just officially got that there will be no restrictions for Curry, Butler, or Green.
I think like the Warriors are like an FU mode. I think they're upset about retroactively. They're upset about the getting jobbed in the in-season tournament, which they kind of did. It was a silly call. Whatever. And not one call necessarily determines the game, but it was kind of a silly call. But yeah, I think Golden State from the start. Once I remembered that, it's like, oh yeah, they're going to play their guys. They want their revenge, their in-season revenge. But okay,
let's load up the second clue already, because we're going to have to keep it going quick today since it's a short show.
All right, let's go ahead and drop it. Yeah, nobody guessed the second clue. Let's the first. Bob Lanier, Christian Leitner, Felix Potvin. That's a great guess. Felix Potvin, the Cat, he was known as, goaltender for, I think, Toronto many years ago. I'm not sure. My hockey is not perfect. And, of course, somebody had to guess Karl Anthony Towns. But the second clue is Lady. All right, tell me what athlete I'm talking about. The Kings and the Pels, big total, 235. Running this back, this game went down last night in New Orleans. And Bourbon Street's fun. I'm not sure if the Kings stayed out late or not. We'll see if they have the New Orleans flu. Who's in, who's out? Well, Sacramento's clean. Boston is out for New Orleans. Herb Jones, of course, he's done for the year, as is Murray. Kelly O, not with the team. It feels like he's just never going to play for New Orleans. I don't know. And obviously Zion is out. We're predicting Makovic to draw the start. And Nisi gets a better projection as well with the absence of Zion. TJ, Kings, Pels, what do you got for me?
Yeah, really interesting game on at least the Pelicans side with no Zion Williamson and a lot of value opening up I'll go Sacramento first because even though they got the really high total, I don't think I care about them very much. They just got so many bodies now with Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, so many bodies on the wing that is. I think I'm fine with taking shots on, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, with Sabonis being my clear favorite of that group. But other than that, I don't really like anybody on the Sacramento side of things. For the Pelicans, they're going to be one of my top teams on the slate, I think, to target. I will want to get underweight to Messi and his 25% current projection. I don't know if I want to go there at all. But Trey Murphy at 8,200 is one of my favorite plays on the slate. Don't mind some McCollum at 79. He's volatile, but he's got a huge upside. Jose Alvarado at 5K is going to be a cash game lock, and I think still, even at like upwards of 40%, he is still a really solid play today. And then there's some value. I don't really love Bruce Brown, but Karlo Matkovic, I think, is a really interesting value play today.
By the way, LOL, the Utah Jazz, just hilarious. Out of nowhere, of course, they could have done this. They knew they were doing this the whole time, but they gave Walker Kessler a thumb. Like, come on, man. You knew you were doing this. This is not – he didn't just all of a sudden, coach.
What if he slammed his thumb in the car door?
Oh, what if? What if?
I did that one time.
Yeah, one time, but you didn't do it today.
No, I was about 9 years old. It was my birthday too.
It's brutal. It's rough. We've all done it once. That's why he said it's an issue. But man, the Jazz, just the worst. So yeah, Walker Kessler, they're playing games in Utah. All right, Chop. We'll get to it. We'll talk about that when we get there. But Chop, your thoughts as far as the Kings and the Pels.
Fleet Thursday has already been won.
Has it really?
No spoilers. No spoilers. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was hoping to throw people off, but it didn't work. Go ahead.
Let's see. Sacramento, New Orleans. Start with Sacramento. Could you play any of these guys with good projections? Malik Monk, Rosen, Levine. Sure, you could. I'm not very interested in them, no. So I don't think I'm in on the Sacramento side as much as the New Orleans side, who got a little bit more value over here with Jose Alvarado. Only 5K on DraftKings, and let me see. I saw earlier he has some really interesting props too. So it kind of reinforces the fact that for 5K, that's probably a pretty good player right there. So I like that one. Trey Murphy. When I thought Walker Kessler was going to be in, I wanted to readjust my James Harden take because I think it kind of hurts James a little bit. But now Kessler's out. But when I did readjust it, I went with Trey Murphy as my favorite player on the survey because, Trey Murphy's still pretty good price on both of the majors, all three of the sites, really, if you count Yahoo. Really good price, like just slightly above that mid-range, but not that far ahead, And he's just been crushing, man, for like 15 games in a row since he came back from his being injured. He's just been crushing. I don't see Sacramento's not like a defensive juggernaut. They'll give up plenty. So I definitely like Trey Murphy here. I'm going to try to squeeze him on my rosters. The rest of them, you could play Messi. He's all right. Like TJ said, Matkovic is okay. Probably not going to McCollum. Let me see. Somebody tagged Bruce Brown. That was
it wasn't me.
No, it was TC Smith.
He's doing salary savers, so he's a salary.
So I mean, he is a salary saver. 44. That's what the tags are there for, to kind of alert you on that. I wasn't even thinking about Bruce Brown, but 4,400. Not a terrible player right there. But I'm mainly on Alvarado and Murphy here.
Yeah, the field's on Alvarado as well. Currently around 40% or so. Messi 25, Murphy 25. Most popular King is Monk at 21%. I played him yesterday. It didn't work out. He was in foul trouble as well. And Sabonis, I think the absence of Zion helps him as well from a getting in the foul trouble potentially perspective, and just makes things cleaner inside. Messi is really, really vulnerable. So I'm happy to go back to Sabonis, but I like a lot of centers in this slate. We'll talk about it. And somebody for center probably as you open up for Utah potentially as a cheapie. We'll have that conversation. Yeah. Anything else, TJ, as far as this game, or shall we move on? I think I like the Kings more than you guys do. Didn't sound like you guys love them. but their rotation is tight, and New Orleans is a team that I want to pick on.
Yeah, there's just so many mouths to feed that it's a tight rotation, but I kind of feel like it's almost like a fully healthy New York, where if Bridges and OG, Hart, Cat, and Brunson are all there, I don't really like anybody other than maybe a little Hart and then some Cat and Brunson. It's just kind of tough to get to all those wings when they're there. Gobert and Conley just got ruled out. Should we get Anthony Edwards any second here? Still a game time decision. That's annoying.
Yeah, that's national TV, by the way. That's the TNT game. I assume Nas is going to be.
It doesn't start till a half hour after lock.
Correct. You would think there's extra reporters on hand, like national reporters. Somebody would know about Ant before 8 o'clock. You would think if it's up to him, he's probably going to play. He always wants to play. He famously.
They're all coming in now, Dean.
What else do we get now?
Well, Kyrie's out now. I knew this was gonna happen.
This is the worst.
This is when I wanted it though, because I'm going to a movie right after lock. I needed this.
Well, Klay Thompson's out as well. I have a lot of invested in underdog today. I drafted a lot of these players. Very upset.
Oh man, I forgot.
I did not draft a lot of Warriors because all right. It's all right. Nobody cares. But yeah, our projection team is going to be hard at work, but no Klay, no Kyrie, no Conley, no Gobert. Ant is questionable. Okay. And I'll tell you, we'll talk about it, but like we have SGA projected for like 3% ownership. I promise you that's going to jump up. I already thought it was going to jump up, but now it's going to be so much easier to grab somebody like SGA on this slate because of all the value stuff opening up. Let's move on. TJ, if you want to just go ahead and we can play out the string and scroll. We made the clues. We have a winner in Discord. It is Peterman, but we also can drop the clues in the, Chop can play along, and those hanging out in the YouTube that aren't in Discord can do a little Fleet Thursday, get some reps in. Clue number 3 is 3. 3 is clue number 3. Second game is the aforementioned Golden State Warriors taking on the Rockets. 224 is the total. It's not high, but it is tight. Houston just a 1-point favorite here. Expectations again, Golden State playing all their dudes, nobody out with the exception of Kuminga. He's been out for a while. Houston does have guys out, but they've mostly been out for a while as is. No FVV, that's Freddie VanVleet, no Jabari Smith, and Tari Eason is out as well. Chop, how do we feel about the Warriors and the Rockets now that we're expecting the Warriors to play this game straight up?
Well, I'm not really, weird, but I'm not interested in this game either that much with everybody being relatively healthy. Like I know Fred VanVleet's still out and Tari Eason is ruled out today, I believe. But I don't think that that's not really all that big of a deal for DFS because we've been playing without Fred VanVleet for a while, so the salaries have adjusted. We know, and the Golden State I thought was going to offer more value. They're not, and like you said, these are defensive struggles for games with these two teams this year. Don't know that I want to go here because like there's no value in this game compared to what we've got now all over the other games later on. The value's there. There's Curry, sure, he's fine, but like I said, if the team scored like 90 points last time they met, so he would need to get there with his points. That'd be a lot tougher. So as far as studs are concerned, I think I'd probably look elsewhere later on tonight. So the Golden State side definitely doesn't do anything for me. On the flip side, I could still play Amen Thompson at 8,600. Sure, I could probably put together a team with a bunch of guys between 8 and 9K and then round it out with a bunch of salary savers. And Amen would definitely be one of those guys. He's just a well-rounded player in terms of stuff in the stat sheet. So he's in play. Şengün surprisingly hasn't had as good of a success against Golden State this year as I thought he might have. So I don't know that I want to go that route. The rest of them don't do nothing for me. So maybe I'm in Thompson, maybe Steph Curry and GPPs, but that's about it.
Yeah, we're always talking up Amen here, coming off another triple-double, just does a little bit of everything. Like a 5x5 guy, doesn't necessarily have to score 15 points to get there. TJ, Warriors, Rockets, it's not the best game environment, but again, there's value pieces all around where if you want to spend up for these dudes, you certainly can, and you can get optimal outcomes potentially. Where are you at as far as Warriors and Houston.
Yeah, not super big on them, but on either of these teams, I'm with Chop on that. But I do think there are some interesting tournament pieces like Thompson, Şengün, and Green are all going pretty low owned, considering it's only a 5-game slate. And then it's the same thing for Steph Curry on the other side of thing. We're projecting single-digit ownership for him. That probably goes up a bit now with no Kyrie Irving. But relative to the James Hardens and a couple other pieces on this slate, I do think these teams are going to be pretty low owned relative to those other pieces. So I think they're interesting for tournaments. Not going to be loading up though. Like this is a game where I'm not going to play more than one player from each team, I don't think, but I'll still maybe get upwards of 20% of Şengün and Green and Curry and Thompson.
One of my strategies going into tonight was like to lean into variance because I think the last day before the All-Star break, every team in the back half of back-to-back, as variance goes, I think this is a higher variance potential of outcomes than pretty much any other day. It's like last game of the year, that kind of thing, or first game of the year, we try to figure stuff out. So I'm leaning into stuff that doesn't necessarily project amazing. And if that happens to be, somebody like a Şengün, like that's fine. We're expecting Aaron Holiday to start, by the way. I would not play Aaron Holiday. Just wanted to note that. Dante Exum is available, by the way, to play for Dallas. So they do have at least one of their guys that was questionable that is available to play. Did anybody give a thought as far as, Chop, did you mention Whitmore? Earlier in the day, he was a little bit more interesting. Maybe he's fallen back now as far as value stuff goes once things shake out. What's your take on Cam?
Not much. I don't really necessarily. I mean, I've played him, and it's been when I think it could be a blowout with some guys missing and all that. This one, I don't see this being a blowout. And honestly, without an in-game injury or foul trouble or something, ejection, I just don't think they want to use him too much in real time as opposed to, I think they'd rather have garbage time for him. So I'm not really on that one.
All right. My Miami Heat taking on the Mavs. We just got Mavs news. 216.5 is a total. That's probably dropping. I would imagine that's going to drop with the news that Kyrie is not playing basketball tonight. He's out. Clay is out as well. Of course, anybody that's big in this team is out. All their centers are out. Anthony Davis is out. Gafford is out. Lively is out. Powell's out. Their first 4 centers. OMP is projected to be the starter here. For the Mavs, as far as Miami, they're kind of limping in a little bit as well into Dallas, back half of back-to-back on the road, traveling. Bam is questionable with a knee. Jovic, he's available to go with his knee. Kevin Love is still out. Duncan Robinson, good to go with his illness. Illness again struck this team. Terry Rozier is out with an illness. Wiggins, he had the fish as well. He cannot play. So we're anticipating Hero, Mitchell, Duncan Robinson, Adebayo, and Khalil Ware as the starters, but I would put that in pencil. You never know. Probably Hero, Mitchell, Adebayo, and Ware, and Duncan Robinson, maybe. And Hawkins was coming off an illness, and I believe he was a DNP CD yesterday. And I don't know if that was CD or it's just like he wasn't feeling great and he dressed but just didn't play. Not sure on that. But all right, TJ, Mavs, Heat. We are getting some value pieces on Dallas. I'm waiting for the projections to be updated. It should be coming in shortly. What's your thoughts as far as Dallas? We should have some value plays here in theory.
Yeah, I believe. Did we just get one? No, didn't go up there. But Miami thing is tough because we still got Bam Adebayo listed as questionable. I do kind of wonder if maybe they sit him if now that Kyrie and Clay have already been ruled out for this one. Thinking, hey, we can probably win this game without Bam today. And so if that is the case, I think that opens up a lot of guys I really like for Miami. If he's in, I think you can play Ware, you can play Jovic, you can play Harrow and Mitchell, and you can play Bam. But I think the team is just fine, and I probably don't want to play more than one Miami player in any of my lineups, max 2. If Bam is out, all of a sudden Ware looks really good. Jovic looks really good. Hawkes is in play. Tyler Herro probably going to pick up a ton of usage. Alec Burks has been playing well off the bench. Maybe we see Kyle Anderson step into some minutes. Or, it's probably just going to be Haywood Highsmith, which you don't care about. But I do think this team becomes really interesting if Bam is out. If he's in, I don't really care about them. On the Dallas side of things, it's going to be interesting to see when we get the projection update here. But
we're down to 9 bodies. We got
probably
9.
Gonna like this team a decent amount down to 9 bodies, right? I do definitely still see paths where the Najee Marshalls, the Max Christies, and the Dinwiddies of the world maybe don't get there because maybe the team only scores 85 points. But somebody like a Kessler Edwards at 3,800 looks really darn good to me on this slate.
Incidentally, the total for the game just dropped 3 points. It's down to 214. So, yeah, with again no Kyrie and no Clay, down to 9 for Dallas, and like they have Kyler Kelly. They called up. He's a big developmental guy that was in the G League. I don't know how much run he would get. The interesting thing is just kind of matchup wise is that Miami has 2 pretty big dudes and like Bam and Ware, and it's just like who blinks first. Like if Dallas is succeeding, maybe Miami kicks Ware off the court. They have done that before. They can go smaller. Dallas would love to go small. They kind of have to go small, basically. I know they have Kelly, but I don't know how many minutes he can play. I'm curious if he starts. Probably not. Just really curious how that works matchup-wise. And, again, a lot of it's predicated on if Bam goes. And Bam is questionable. If Bam doesn't go, you mentioned Ware, who's fine as is. Fine. Doesn't project great, to be honest, but would look really, really good if Bam goes bye-bye. Chopper, what do you got? Heat, Mavs.
Well, they ripped down all my Dallas. I was gonna hit the Dallas props, but they ripped them down. So can't mess with that.
You gotta be quick. You gotta pounce, man.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we're doing a show and I'm trying to figure out Athlete Thursday and everything else, man. So it's just tough.
Drop that 4th clue, TJ.
So while he drops the 4th clue, Miami, I really like Bam Adebayo today if he plays. I don't like the questionable tag, but man, that seems like a pretty easy pivot though if he doesn't to Khalil Ware. So, but if Bam plays, I love Bam. Miami's might not be good enough to totally blow out Dallas, even with this bad roster Dallas has tonight. They still might not be good enough to like lose too many minutes for their starters. So I love Bam in this just because of the matchup with that front line. And if Bam is out, I would love Khalil Ware even more than I liked Bam previously.
Oh, there you go. It's Superman season.
Oh,
it's Superman season.
He's out. That's
Khalil Ware.
Yeah. That's an easy lock and load right there. Unfortunately, that's the first guy that should be.
Bet him over on rebounds if you can do it right now. Bet it right now.
Wait. Well, I can't do that. I'm on a show, Dean. I can't do it because the people who report that Bam is out first are the ones who set the lines on. It's underdog, so I can't do nothing.
You got to be quick, man.
I'm trying to extend my streak on underdog, Dean. I had that son of a bitch up to 7 wins in a row. I was like 3 away from the 10K, man.
There's a streak going on? I wasn't even aware of that.
You didn't know the extend the streak thing? Extend the streak. Yeah, you do. You like they let you do one at a time. And if you hit, you advance, you keep on moving. And if you hit like 10 or 11 in a row.
Remember the old ESPN streaking thing?
Yeah, but this is for like real money, though.
Yeah.
Man, I had it the other day and I blew it with a stupid college prop. But anyways.
I told you about college basketball.
No, it's good stuff. So yeah, Khalil Ware, lock and load.
I do. One guy that I think is really interesting. I think he was somewhat interesting before this news and even more so now. And I don't know how much steam he's going to pick up just because he's a totally different position. But since there are no big men on Dallas, I think Miami's going to be able to play whoever they want. 3 games ago, Alec Burks played 18 minutes. 2 games ago, 25. Last game, 28. He's only 30. He's only 3.6K. I think he's a guy that could be a very interesting lower-owned salary saver.
Yeah. I mean, Tim tried to sell me on Alec Burks the other day, and I just can't do it. But I hear you.
He's been a good producer his entire career.
Yeah, I can't get excited about Alec Burks. But I hear you. I feel like we might have better value, but I'm not sure. But
there's better value for sure, but that's why he's going to be like 5% owned on a small slate.
Yeah. Tim is taking the victory lap in chat saying he smashed. What did he put up like 22 points? And we have different definitions of smashing. It's a relative term. He was fine. He didn't destroy you, but he didn't smash. Let's come on.
He had 29.75 DK points.
All right. I slighted him like 9 points. My apologies.
So he ate it.
We just lose Chop. Did Chop just dip out on us? I don't see him in the picture.
We lost him for a second here, but I'm sure he'll be back any moment. I'm probably just an internet thing.
He's trying to get in some bets. Billy says Burks or Hardy. Interesting. I wonder what do we think the Dallas starting lineup is going to be? I don't know. No Kyrie and no Thompson. Exum probably starts. I don't know how many minutes he can play, but he probably starts. I know Dinwiddie probably gets a fair bit of run. I know our projection team's working hard to get the updates coming in. Chop, you're back with us.
Oops. Trying to smash the props like Tim, and I smashed the X out button on the StreamYard by accident, man.
18 says Dinwiddie starts over Exum. Maybe. I think Dinwiddie's like going to get more minutes either way. I'm just not sure. I know we've seen Exum start here and there.
They kind of turned Exum loose, a few games ago, and then he got hurt. Maybe they turned Exum loose.
That's the thing. Is like how many minutes?
I left on accident, but I didn't get to say that my favorite Maverick is Max Christie. So I'm sure that everybody's going to like Max Christie, but
yeah, he was the big piece in that Luka Doncic deal.
They really like Max Christie, and he has nobody.
They better.
Well,
they better like him.
That's a different story.
But Dante Exum in the season has not played more than 21 minutes in any game. 19, 20, 21 is the most he's played. He's only played 5 games. We have 2 more games to go. More information trickling on through. And clue number 4 was just dropped as well. If you guys are playing Fleet Thursday, playing it through. Goose Egg.
Oh, I didn't see. Oh, Goose Egg. I didn't even see Goose Egg till now. Whoa, you guys are going too fast.
Well, this is why you don't sign out of the show. TJ just dropped it on us out of nowhere, to be fair, which is good. They're keeping the show.
No, you asked me to, so I did.
Oh, did I? I don't recall.
Yeah.
I'm losing track.
I put it up as soon as you asked.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's nice that somebody will. I can just say, yeah, that's good that you can just speak it into existence. All right, so OKC's taking on Minnesota. 225.5 is the total. Minnesota's been a 10-point dog here. We just got news that Conley is out. Gobert is out. I assume. Well, you know what? OKC's got 2 really big dudes. They're probably going to start Holmgren and Hartenstein. It's Minnesota. Would they start Luka Garza to go match 2 bigs? Just trying to think as far as matching up with OKC. Holmgren and Hartenstein are 2 big dudes. And otherwise, it'd be Nas, and who will be there for?
McDaniels.
Who would it be?
McDaniels.
Yeah, he's a small 4, but yeah, that's probably what it would be. And then the other pieces we don't know about Edwards. We're assuming starts for Conley. I guess that's the presumption. Yeah, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of plates moving. The Thunder, nothing really to worry about there. No Caruso, no Kason Wallace. Nobody's questionable. DiVincenzo and Randall obviously are still out for Minnesota.
McDaniels is 6'9" for what it's worth.
Oh, okay. Does he feel like a 4 to you though? He doesn't feel like a 4 to me. He could play 4.
No, he's as much of a 4 as Nas is a 5.
Yeah, which is again right. Like, and nobody's playing Holmgren or Hartenstein. Just throwing it out there. Neither one of those guys are getting played.
I don't know if he can play Holmgren. Can he? Like, he's not going to play enough minutes.
He might play 26 minutes, and like he's a 1.4 fantasy point minute player. So if you catch him on the right night, I just think he's an interesting play just because of the way the slate sets up. But like, he's not a good math play. But I'm for sure going to play more than the field of SGA, which I assume his ownership is going to jump up. That was the original plan as is. But yeah, TJ, what do you got for me as far as OKC and Minnesota?
We've got a projection update just now, 1 minute ago. And so looking at the Minnesota side of thing, we got Luka Garza up to a 16-minute projection. Not starting. We are projecting the starting lineup to be. Oh, it still only has 3 little dots there for me. So the starting lineup hasn't adjusted, but it looks like we definitely have Nickeil Alexander-Walker in there. And then based on minutes, I would say Dillingham or Clark as the final guy in there. So we currently do not have Garza in I guess, no, he's projected for 16 minutes. So maybe they could say that's going to be a 16-minute starting lineup. We'll see. No point worried about it now. We'll see when projection happens. We'll see when we get that starting lineup update. But Minnesota, they do have a ton of bodies. I don't think outside of Naz Reid and then some shots on some cheaper options, anybody actually looks that great outside of Naz Reid right now, and Anthony Edwards, even if he plays as a tournament option. If Edwards is out, all of a sudden I think this Minnesota team is looking just as good as any other team on the slate. Max Christie has a huge projection now going back to that Dallas game. We are projecting Dinwiddie to start. He looks great. Prosper has an absolutely huge projection, 32 fantasy points at 4.8K. Edwards looks really great. So that Dallas team is really, really popping now.
Well, look at the price tags on Dallas. Like, look Dinwiddie 5K, Christie 5.2, Exum 4.1.
And like, no more Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo's not playing. Is the Miami defense really going to be that good?
No, probably not. Like, everybody is super, super cheap here. I think
Brandon looks really good now because he's projecting for 33 minutes. Nikola Jovic looks really, really good at 31 minutes. Hawkes looks like a fine value. And Davion Mitchell looks like a strong value too. Burks is not, so that's strictly like a large field tournament thing. But I think it's a great
Burks
thing. I think it's great for large field stuff. But well, we've got the updates for basically all of the teams that have had the stuff come up now. We got Walker Kessler out now, which we'll wait too. So projection updates makes those earlier teams look that good, but to be honest, without Anthony Edwards being out, I don't care that much about Minnesota outside of Naz Reid. I will take shots on Garza too in my 150 lineups.
I love Ant, like playing Ant and SGA in the same lineup, assuming Ant plays, obviously, setting it up, and you can adjust with news because there's other games. You know, there's a game after this one. Miami's playing at the same time as well. I think we'll get that news by 8 o'clock. I feel like we will, but who knows? We'll see. Stay tuned. Chop your thoughts as far as the Thunder and the T-Wolves. We got one more game until crunch time comes in. Clippers and Jazz, they're on layaway. We have Kyle Murray and Noto. Noto's coming on as well. Going to be holding it down, taking you guys up to 8 o'clock. Before that, we got to knock out this game. Clippers and Jazz. Chopper, knock out the Thunder and the T-Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, SGA now, I'm probably going to make way for him in my lineup. It's really easy to fit the stars in there. So I think he's the guy. I don't think I want, even before this news where there's no Gobert, I wasn't even going to play Chet or Isaiah Hardenstein anyway. Now I can definitely scratch them both off the list. And then the only other guy, like, don't need any of those smaller role players tonight. Jalen Williams would be the only other guy, but I don't think I need to go there either. So SGA is the guy on the Oklahoma City side. On Minnesota, I just don't, I just don't see Anthony Edwards sitting down tonight. So I think he plays.
I don't either.
I think he plays, and if he plays, like, his prop is over under 4.5 3-pointers to give you an idea of what, he can do some damage. Even Oklahoma City, who's a really good defense, he can still do some damage here. And he'll have like no ownership because of the questionable tag and because of the matchup. I think he makes for a great GPP play, man. And
he scored 41 points or more in 3 of his last 4. I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish your thought.
Yeah, well, that's what he does, and yeah, that's why I like him. He's got that in him, and with those 3-pointers, he's not, he can do anything he wants to do. He's taken to the 3-point line this year a lot more, but he can still put the ball on the floor and get to the basket if he needs to in this matchup. He's a good player. You could run SGA and Edwards back in the lineup and fill it with a bunch of value and be unique and be really good, be in a good spot. Naz Reid's obviously pretty good now, really good now. Jaden McDaniels, and after that, probably not seeing much after that in this game.
Let's knock out this last game. By the way, they're asking about Naz Reid. Like, Naz, sure, the matchup is not good. It's actually the worst matchup in all basketball. If you look at a defense versus archetype matchup tool for versatile bigs, 30th for Naz, but it doesn't mean he can't overcome it, and he's certainly going to have plenty of usage being delegated his way, as is right now, and even more so if they happen to lose Edwards. Clippers, Jazz, 228.5 is a total. The Jazz are 10-point dogs here. Well, the injury report as of right now for Utah, there's no Sexton, there's no Potter, no KJ Martin, no Hendricks, no Jordan Clarkson, and they just ruled out Kessler. So they're down to 10 by my count. We are projecting Filipowski to draw the start here for the Jazz. As far as the Clippers, they cannot play Kawhi on the back half of back-to-back, and Amir Coffey is officially questionable. One of the best matchups on the board here. Zubac looks great. He looks better without Kessler. Kessler is their best guy inside. The Jazz give up the most opponent blocks. They give up the most opponent steals. James Harden also, I think, one of the best big spends in the slate as well. There is the federal blowout, but how are you going to get there? Probably through Jim Harden doing some things. Chopper, Clippers, Jazz, what do you got?
Yeah, for the Jazz, I thought we might get all three of the front court players out tonight, but we only got Kessler out, is what it looks like. So I think it's a little bit more of a competitive game than we give it credit for without Kawhi. So I think these two teams could play pretty close. I think Collier and George were kind of in the mix for me earlier, but with the latest news, their price points just they've kind of evaporated in that for me. So I don't think I want to go that route. Not going anybody underneath those guys. Filipowski is not a particularly good fantasy player. I'm not falling for that trap. John Collins and Markkanen, man, they're okay. I just don't know that there's a ceiling on either one of them that's all that great, but they're playable. For the Clippers, I agree with what you said. Harden is a really good play, but now I think the decision is Harden or Anthony Edwards if Edwards plays. And I don't know which one I think I'd rather have Anthony Edwards, to be honest with you. Zubac is a great play. Norman Powell's a great play. Utah is not a particularly good defense. Powell's going to get a lot of extra work without Kawhi there. And, yeah, the salary guys, salary savers just aren't going to cut it for me tonight. Chris Dunn is good on a big slate when there's no value, but I'm not going to play him tonight. So I'm kind of stuck on Zubac and Powell as the best plays in this game.
Crunch time coming in here shortly. TJ, give me a heads up when they're officially here. I can't actually see them in the bullpen. I see the fifth clue is scrolling as well. We're playing it out for funsies as far as Fleet Thursday. I do want to shout out Peterman. It took it down in just 2 clues. Cat, Lady, 3, Goose Egg, and Shaggy. Shaggy is the 5th clue. Clippers, Jazz. TJ, what do you got for me?
Yeah, on the Utah side of things, even with Kessler out, I don't think I care that much. It makes John Collins look pretty interesting. The quote, like all of the guys I think I'm interested in a little bit would be in the 6K range. Collins, George, and Collier. Outside of that, I don't think I really care about anybody on this team. And even them, like I'll play maximum 1 going up against this Clippers defense. I like the Clippers side a lot more. I agree with Chop. Dunn was a lot more interesting before we had all of this value. So for the most part, it's going to be Zubac, Powell, and Harden for me. But then because Harden's going to be really highly owned, I'll probably be about even on him and then overweight on the other two.
All right, checking out ownership stuff as of right now for this game. And, this is going to get refined as we close and unlock. Harden, 35%, Zubac, 26%. Yeah, done at 22%, but I think that falls back. We don't know about Coffey. He's questionable. Powell certainly fine. If this game gets out of hand, it's worth noting, like if this game gets completely ugly, let's say it's a 40-point game, the Jazz are down to 10. So it's not like they have, I think Potter, Keontae George, the point I'm getting at is Keontae George is playable as is, and I think he's a guy that probably mops as well. Probably. At least either him or Collier. And we're expecting Collier to start. Just trying to figure that out. Do you have a lean on that, TJ? Like who would, if this game is completely out of hand, who are the 5 Jasmine who close out this game?
Probably Williams, Potter, Juzang, Filipowski, Mikhailuk.
No. All right. Let's see. Chat, hold your questions for crunch time. Oh, let's go ahead and explain. Chop, did you get a guess in? Do you have our winner for Fleet Thursday? I don't think you put a guess in.
I think I put a guess in before I X'd out, and then I don't think it was right. So,
what if I got a double clue for you? I thought it was Buck. I'll give you one more. Buck.
Okay.
Is a double clue.
Yeah, I got it now.
So, clue number 1 is Cat. This person went to a school where the mascot are Wildcats. 2, Lady. Their nickname is kind of a synonym for lady. A dame. 3, they're known for hitting threes. That's what they do. They hit a lot of threes. which they'll be doing this All-Star weekend, by the way. That's why I picked him as like an homage to what's going on in the festivities. In the 3-point contest, Goose Egg is this person's number. They wear the number 0 on their back. And Shaggy, of course, Shaggy is in reference to the Scooby-Doo movie, which was starring, amongst other people, not just Freddie Prinze Jr., but Matthew Lillard. Who could forget that?
Shaggy could also be a nod to Insane Clown Posse, Shaggy Too Dope.
Okay, but how does Too Dope, Shaggy, not Violent J? How does Shaggy reference?
I don't know, but Lady, I was thinking Dame Lillard.
Yeah.
Because when you put Lady up there, I was thinking the Dame equals Lady didn't hit me. I was thinking because he's in the news lately a lot for his new girlfriend, his new lady friend, who's a rapper. Dame Lillard. So
I'm not aware of her.
Her name's Glorilla. She's a rapper.
I've seen the name. Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking, but I didn't guess it, man.
Is he still rapping, Lillard? Is he still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty decent little rapper.
My understanding, he's one of the better athletes. All right. We do.
I'll say, Dean, those were very good clues.
Oh, thank you, TJ. I thought I was waiting for the punchline.
You did better. Those were good.
Duncan Robinson officially in. It was pretty funny. I sent it to TJ before the show started because I think if he's going to be, keeping an eye on Discord, we kind of bounce back and forth to keep an eye on it. I wanted him to be aware of it, and he guessed. Well, tell him what your guess. Well, why you guessed what you guessed. I thought that was pretty funny.
I guess Travis Kelce because I read the first, you sent all the clues at once, so just my brain read cat and lady together as one. Cat lady, and Taylor Swift notoriously has a ton of cats and loves her cats. 3 because he has 3 Super Bowls. Goose egg because he just put up a goose egg in the first half, an important part of the Super Bowl. And then Shaggy because much like Shaggy, it wasn't him. He was not the guy in the Super Bowl. He didn't show up. And so that's how I rationalized it for Travis Kelce.
I got your trivia for you, Dean.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
This is ridiculous. I don't even know how they expect somebody to get this.
Well, wait, you're going to ask me a question that's like unanswerable? Is that what's happening here?
No, but I wouldn't have got it. Mickey Mantle was the first switch hitter in the American League to even have one season of at least 35 homers. He accomplished it 6 times. Switch hitter, American League, 35 homers or more. Who was the second to do it?
I don't know. Honus Wagner.
Honus Wagner came way before Mickey Mantle.
Well, I'm just throwing out a name. I'm sorry.
Nobody would get this one.
Miguel Tejada.
It's a good guess, but
it's got to be before Tejada.
Yeah, it was 1979 season. Played for Baltimore.
Eddie Murray?
Close.
No, Cal Ripken was after that.
Cal Ripken, that's too early.
It's not Murray. It's 79 Baltimore power hitter. I got nothing.
Ken Singleton.
He was an Astro.
That's because it's an Astros calendar.
Yeah,
they had to piece it together. Okay. So it's always going to be related to the Astros in some way. Yeah, not to be confused with John Singleton, who absolutely does nothing with the bat.
Oh yeah, is he back, or is he like?
Christian Walker is our new first baseman, but he'll ride. Singleton will be riding the bench though, but yeah, we got a good first baseman now.
All right, Christian Walker is sneaky old. He's like 33.
Yeah, Bregman was going to the Red Sox, Dean. In case you didn't know,
I did see that. Yeah, he's 3 years, 120. I guess the Monster is a good spot for him. I know historically, like 100 bats, he was good there. Whatever you can take away from that. Crunch time is here. I'm just seeing the note now. Thank you, TJ. Before we bring him in, though, I want to know who was breaking the slate. TJ, you go first. Chop, you see him and raise him.
Trey Murphy.
Ooh, good one.
I got you Chop wanted. I think that was Chop's guy.
Well, it would have been my guy. But during the show, I had to readjust, Dean. The
other one I had in mind was Cattell Ware. So if you want Murphy, I can go Ware.
No.
You're thinking baseball. You call him Cattell. Cattell.
Oh, yeah, Khalil.
Khalil Ware, and that's my guy that's breaking the slate.
There it is. We're on the same page today.
But everybody's playing him, though, right? Isn't he going to project ridiculous?
Well, good. Then let the 23% who don't play him pay the rake.
What is this projection at now? 36 DK points at 6-1 as a median projection. Yeah, he's gonna hit some stuff.
Also, Dean, this is a great night to have done the drafts early because now guys like Khalil Ware did not get drafted on Underdog. We can go back, adjust our rankings, still get him in there. We'll still get Khalil Ware.
What about me? I got a bunch of pods. That's
Who?
why. But
you hope he get. You better hope he gets late scratched. You better hope he gets late scratched. Send the Tanya Harding down there to the
Jeff Galooly
locker room.
That was a hell of a mustache back in the day. Eichert, what was the name of the guy he worked with? Galooly. Let's not get sidetracked. Let's bring in crunch time. Let's bring him in right now. All right, Noto and Kyle, you guys must be in scramble mode. I'm sorry that you're going to be working. Well, hopefully you got your lineup settled, Noto, because I think most of the information, with the exception of Ant, right? That's the big thing we're waiting on. Notorious?
Yeah. Anthony Edwards and Amir Coffey, if you think that's big news.
Amir Coffey. Well, wait, how big of news is Amir Coffey? Should I be concerned about that?
No, I've been out over here painting my house and come back to the computer screen 30 minutes later. Clay's out, Kyrie's out, Bam's out. So I got some adjusting to do on the fly. Yeah,
I feel bad for you. Yourself and Kyle, you're going to be working through it. Myself and Chop are getting out of here. I believe TJ is going to disappear and go behind the scenes. He'll be, pulling all the buttons and the levers and keeping the lights on. But that's it for myself and Chop. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on notifications. But do not go anywhere. You got 38 minutes all the way up the lock for crunch time. Noto, take it away.
All right, what is up, everybody, and welcome to Crunch Time. Like Dean said, we got about 38 minutes until lock. So myself, Derek Farnsworth, go by Notorious in the DFS streets, and Kyle Murray. KMurr, how you doing, man? And what do you think of tonight's slate?
Yeah, I'm doing good. The pre-All-Star game break is not being kind to us with all the news. Yesterday was hectic, and then today was kind of quiet, and then like you mentioned, you step away for a few minutes and then it goes crazy. So we are definitely getting warmed up for end of season NBA with all this news, but definitely fun to react to it live and we can break it down.
Now, I love NBA DFS, but I am very excited for the All-Star break. What about you?
Oh yeah, especially again, like these last 2 days, especially yesterday, it was a grind on the projections and stuff like that. So I'm definitely looking forward to a nice step backwards and refresh, get ready for the second half.
And it seems like every year injuries can get worse, the injury situation, and somehow they do. But anyway, okay, we got most of the news tonight. Are we going position by position?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do that. Let's start over on DraftKings at point guard. Who are some of your favorite options?
So I think the only news that we're really waiting on now is the Anthony Edwards news, and you mentioned Amir Coffey. I guess that could affect some guys a little bit in terms of value. But James Harden obviously popping here. Utah guys, I kind of thought that Utah was going to kind of mass sit their players. We haven't seen a lot of these guys play on the second half of back-to-backs since like December or November. Guys like Markkanen and obviously Walker Kessler is out, but even John Collins. But right now Collins and Markkanen are in. This game does have, I believe, a 10 or 11 point spread here. But Harden obviously projects well with no Kawhi Leonard, usage rate up, assist rate up. So 9-2 here. I see you, Chop, and Dean all have him tagged. So strong play there. Dinwiddie with all the Dallas news projects pretty well, 5K. He's definitely one of the better value plays or mid-range plays on the slate. You have him and Alvarado, both 5K. Dinwiddie, I think, is going to be easier to get into lineups because he has that shooting guard eligibility. But on DraftKings, not too big of a deal considering you have that guard slot and then obviously utility slot. But both those guys at 5K. Hero looks good here. Obviously had a down game last time out. Was playing coming off of an illness, and then obviously you had a tough matchup against OKC. So not really, counting that against him too much here. No Jimmy Butler, obviously traded away. No Bam, no Andrew Wiggins. So there's really not many high usage players behind him. Looks like right now, like Nikola Jovic, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez are going to be the highest usage guys around him. He should have a ton of usage in this matchup against Dallas, who obviously is going to be missing a lot of their best players. So I think Hero should have a monster game here in this spot. So those four guys are probably the guys I'm keying in on the most: Harden, Dinwiddie, Hero, and Alvarado. Monk also looks pretty good. Amin Thompson coming off of another triple-double that he had last night. good matchup here against Golden State as well. They're on the second half of a back-to-back where they played a ton of minutes, a lot of those Warriors vets, so I'm assuming that they're going to be pretty burnt out. And I think it's a really good rebounding matchup for Thompson as well, so he's also in there as a tournament option. And then I guess these New Orleans guys, CJ McCollum here, also going to be a spend-up option compared to Jose Alvarado, but I do think he's going to be a little bit lower owned with people keying in on other guys in that range, and then as well as obviously getting Jose Alvarado in, who I believe we have currently as the highest projected guard on the slate, and then Keontae George as well at 6. Those are the guys that really highlight the position for me.
All right, yeah, great job breaking down point guard. Don't really have a ton to add. In terms of your favorite value, are you looking for Dinwiddie or Alvarado? I know you can play both, especially with Dinwiddie as shooting guard. Just looking at their per minute numbers, Alvarado's a little bit better, but Dinwiddie's going to have probably higher usage rate than usual, a little bit tougher matchup against Miami. Do you have a favorite between those two?
I do think I lean Dinwiddie slightly right now. I think he's probably the safer bet for more minutes. I think they're pretty equal in terms of permanent production in these scenarios that they're in right now. Obviously, sometimes it's hard to judge that with weird sample sizes, but Dinwiddie we have for, I think, mid-30s minutes, 33, 34 minutes. I think it's a good projection for him. So I think I'll give this slight edge to Dinwiddie.
Cool. I think I'm with you there. One guy that I think probably my favorite tournament play, Anthony Edwards. Been crushing with Randall out of the lineup. I think the Q tag is going to help keep that ownership down, especially with this game. I guess it's only 30 minutes after the rest, but I think he could be my favorite tournament play on the board, assuming he suits up. If he doesn't, then we have to scramble some more. But anyone else on FanDuel that's sticking out to you at point guard?
No, I do like that Edwards call. He's at like a 37.5% usage rate with Randall and DiVincenzo off the floor. Obviously, he's coming off of a really bad game. I made a funny tweet last night about him shooting like 30% from the field and like 16% from three yesterday. But we've seen guys bounce back from bad games pretty quickly, and 41% usage rate in back-to-back games or higher. So yeah, like you mentioned, ton of usage. So I like that Edwards call.
Okay, any interest in Davion Mitchell, Chris Dunn, any of the super cheap guys, or just better value everywhere else?
Yeah, Dunn I think is fine if you wanted to punt there, but I don't know if I'm going there a ton. I think actually if I was going to be punting at point guard on FanDuel, it would be for Dante Exum. I know seems like he's on a pretty tight minutes limit, 20 minutes or so on average over the last 5 games. I wouldn't be overly surprised to see him play a couple more here, maybe working that 23 to 24 minute range. But, guys like Chris Dunn's probably going to be, in terms of minutes wise, project the same. And Mitchell will probably play a few more minutes, but not as good of a permanent guy compared to Exum. And obviously everybody's out there for Dallas, so Exum could pick up some more usage.
Cool. I like that. All right, let's move over to shooting guard. Got a comment in the chat asking us to go through each DraftKings and then FanDuel one position at a time. I just don't know if we're going to have enough minutes to do that. So let's just do what we're doing. Shooting guard on DraftKings, who are your favorite options?
Yeah, a lot of them do carry over in terms of guys that we talked about at the point guard position as well, especially some of these value guys. Like I mentioned, Dinwiddie, you can play at shooting guard. But for the spend ups, obviously Anthony Edwards. And then, Trey Murphy as well. I like quite a bit. 8-2 on DraftKings, and then 8-3 on FanDuel. Another guy's going to benefit with all these guys out for the Pelicans. Zion's out. Obviously, Murray's out. Brandon Ingram traded away. Murphy's had a kind of a breakout year as well, especially from a scoring perspective. He's doing more than just making corner threes. He's actually had some solid volume as well. So Murphy, I like quite a bit. Norm Powell at 7-3 on FanDuel. Max Christie at 5-7. He should start again and probably play mid-30s minutes pretty easily. He's been doing that pretty easily with fully healthy Dallas team. So he should be in there for 35 plus minutes tonight. And then Amen Thompson again has shooting guard eligibility on FanDuel. So I do like him. Price is kind of up there on FanDuel, but I do think we could see his ownership come down. And then again, Tyler Hero is one of my favorite plays on the board.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Love the Murphy call. He's at least a 25% usage rate each of the last 6 games. You mentioned a bunch of guys missing from the Pelicans. Good matchup against Sacramento too, which I love. One guy you didn't mention, Max Christie, maybe you did. Just ever since he's gone to Dallas, usage rate has gone through the roof. Wasn't a high usage guy with the Lakers, but he's had 30 plus fantasy points in 5 straight games. He's also small forward eligible, so I like that. Is there anyone else? Norman Powell, Zach LaVine. I'm struggling with the Kings just because ever since LaVine's gotten there, we haven't seen a ceiling performance from anyone outside of DeMar DeRozan in one game. Do you have any strong takes on LaVine?
Yeah, it's tough because him, Monk, and DeRozan all kind of loop in together in terms of usage and kind of what you're expecting them to do on the floor. So it's really tough to have a ton of interest in these guys. But Monk is the most popular out of those guys in terms of our ownership projections right now. So Levine would be the contrarian option, so I don't mind him. And then you mentioned Powell. If you're not playing Harden, I definitely think it makes sense to have some interest in Powell. Again, it's 7:30 now, but I still wouldn't be surprised to see some news in that Utah game, which probably wouldn't be ideal for the Clippers players. Kind of ruins the chance of having that game stay close. But right now, if you're not playing Harden, I do like Norm Powell quite a bit.
Is Hawkins on a minute restriction?
So he was supposed to, he came out yesterday in terms of the pregame warmup, and he said he was going to be able to play, and he just was a DNP, but he was active. I don't know if he's on a legit minutes restriction. It was just an illness, so I would assume he'd be fine, but we have him for, I think, 20 minutes or so. I think that's just kind of where we have him in the rotation. I don't think he's necessarily hard limited, though.
All right, so another guy that I like to play in tournaments, Cam Whitmore. Easton's out, Jabari's out, Van Vliet's out, but I just think there's better values on this slate. Okay, let's move over to FanDuel shooting guard. Anyone different than the guys you liked on DraftKings?
No, I mean, a lot of them carry over. Obviously, these Dallas guys, Christie and Dinwiddie. Prefer Dinwiddie, but again, Christie is definitely in play. Would be nice to kind of have him get lower ownership compared to Dinwiddie. I still think Dinwiddie's a much higher ceiling player, but Christie could definitely be a solid value option, leverage play. And then you have Exum as well. So I think it makes a lot of sense to have at least one of these Dallas guys at least high on your board in terms of value plays at the shooting guard position on FanDuel with all three of those guys, 6K or lower, Exum down to 4K. And then for a tournament play, I don't mind Jalen Green as well, another guy who's seeing a good amount of usage there so far with Van Vliet off the floor and Tari Eason off the floor. He's up over 29.5% usage rate. So he should, be in there for, a lot of shot attempts. Again, he's pure scoring volume, but he does have the upside there.
Yeah, like that. Deontay George was going to be like the highest owned player early in the day when we thought everyone was going to be out. Now nobody's going to play him. I like him as a tournament play. He's at over 44 in 3 of his last 6 games. Sexton's out, Clarkson's out. So guy I don't mind looking to in large field tournaments. All right. And apologies to producers, TJ. I'm just messing up the usual format of the show, going position by position, flipping for FanDuel and DraftKings. But we're going to roll with it. All right, back over to DraftKings small forward position. Who are some of your favorites?
Murphy carries over. Christie carries over. Again, same sort of deal. There's a few Dallas guys that you can play on DraftKings. Exum is small forward only, which is kind of a weird position qualification there for him, considering he plays a lot of guard here for this team as well. But you have Edwards, who's probably going to play a solid amount of minutes. Will likely start again, but not necessarily a super high permanent guy. Najee Marshall, I do like. I think the price is pretty fair on him at 5.5, but he's a guy who got in there involved in terms of rebounding last night with obviously all these centers out and PJ Washington out as well. He was the one that really benefited from a rebounding percentage standpoint, and he also has pretty good usage rates with Kyrie Irving, Luka off the floor, right around 22%. So Najee Marshall is probably one of my favorite Dallas players, especially if the ownership stays where it is now. I think he's probably the one getting overlooked the most. So I like Najee Marshall quite a bit. And then a lot of the same names. Amin Thompson, I still like Norm Powell, Trey Murphy. So a lot of those guys just carry over.
Yeah, I'm with you. Kessler Edwards is somewhat interesting, coming off a 30-point game, only 3,800. The tough part on this slate is going to be prioritizing value plays, right? There's so many good ones at each position. I think you kind of just pick your favorite studs and then fill in the value plays around them. But yeah, I'm with you. I like Murphy. I like Christie. Najee Marshall is going to be the lower-owned guy that I could go to there. All right, let's flip over to FanDuel, small forward. Who do you like there?
So again, Najee Marshall, I think he's even better on FanDuel. I think he's just easier to fit into lineups. Kessler Edwards, 3.8. So, in terms of pretty similar price tags, but that just feels a bit cheaper in terms of roster construction over on FanDuel, where there's just not as many options in that sub 4K range. So both of those guys, I think, are strong options. In terms of the Dallas guys, I think it's maybe important to touch on how many we can play at a time, because a lot of these guys are pretty similar positions, pretty similar price points. I would say you can probably play 3 of these Dallas guys, and even if you have 4, I wouldn't necessarily completely be turned off by that, I think. But 3 guys, including Dinwiddie, Marshall, Christie, you can throw Exum and Kessler Edwards into that group of 5. If you have 3 or 4 of those guys, I wouldn't really necessarily hate that. There are other options though if you want to get a little bit different. But I figure that was a nice point to touch on there. Lauri Markkanen as well, 6'8". I've seen a lot of talk on Twitter about him potentially missing this game as well. So I think it's not just me thinking this as well. But if he does play, pretty strong spot. Difficult matchup here, but 27.5% usage rate with all these guys off the floor for Utah with Sexton and Clarkson off the floor. So I do think he'll go pretty overlooked. 6'8" is a nice price tag over there on FanDuel. So he's a guy who I like in tournaments.
Yeah, I like the Markkanen call, large field stuff. It does look like Gary Payton's out. I'm not sure that changes much for the Warriors, but Moses Moody and Pods are going to start. All right, let's flip back to power forward. If the chat has any questions, throw them in the chat, and we will get to them after we hit each position. All right, power forward on DraftKings. Go for it.
Yeah, Jovic is projecting pretty well. We have him for 32 minutes right now. I think that makes sense, obviously, with all these guys out for Miami, especially Bam and Andrew Wiggins. He's been pretty solid on a permanent basis as well, kind of being able to fill up the stat sheet top to bottom. So like him, Prosper's been starting at the 5. We'll likely do that again here. Didn't have a big game last time out, but not bad from a permanent perspective. 24 minutes, 21 DK points, so not horrible. Again, a lot of Dallas guys that you can play. So pretty much all the Dallas guys that we've mentioned so far, Prosper, Marshall, Edwards, all available at power forward, all in play. Naz Reid's price is getting up there, so I don't know if I love it, especially in a difficult matchup. And I would much rather play Anthony Edwards in that game. John Collins, same argument to what I made about Lauri Markkanen. Benefits with all these guys off the floor, will likely be overlooked. 6.9K on DraftKings. We have him for sub 10% ownership, so I like him in tournaments.
Yeah, I'm with you. It seems like a pretty easy position on DraftKings. Love Jovic at 5,300. He's probably my favorite guy. I don't mind going to Naz Reid. I know it's a really tough matchup, but man, with Randall out, he's just been crushing. He's a guy that anytime he gets big minutes, I kind of want to be overweight on the field. 40 plus in 5 of his last 6 games. So I'll probably be overweight on him on DraftKings. He's a little more unplayable on FanDuel. I think he's 7,500 over there. Like the John Collins call in large field stuff. Man, that's pretty much it for me. How many lineups would it take for you to play Jimmy Butler?
I was just about to mention him. Actually, I do like him quite a bit in terms of tournaments. I would say any more than maybe 4 or 5 lineups you can get to him easily. I think, especially from just the idea of if you're going to roster one of these top Warriors players, I would prefer Butler from a point per dollar standpoint than Curry. Obviously, there's the myth in terms of NBA DFS that's been going on for the last decade of jump shooters on a back-to-back. But I do think that applies to Jimmy Butler in terms of he'll be able to produce more without scoring. And 27% usage rate or higher in all 3 games as a Warrior so far. Been rebounding pretty well as well. So, yeah, I actually don't mind Butler at all in tournaments.
Yeah, and his usage rate over the last 3 games, 28, 27, 28, much higher than it was when he was with the Heat. Hopefully he can keep his pants clean and shorts clean. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, that was tough.
But hey, he still put up a good game. So
yep.
Props to Jimmy. All right, let's go to FanDuel power forward.
Yeah, so again, Dallas guys I think are pretty strong options here. Jovic is going to be probably the mid-range guy that a lot of people are slamming in the lineups. Prosper being the value guy that people are playing quite a bit. Again, if you have the $1,000, I would much rather play Marshall than Prosper. I know we have them projected pretty similarly, but if the ownership is going to be nearly half in favor of Prosper over Marshall, I would much rather find the extra $1,000, get up to Marshall. I think is the higher permanent ceiling player. I think he has more rebounding upside in this offense than in games past and situations past, and I think he probably even matches Prosper. Definitely has higher usage as well. Obviously, he's a little bit more expensive though. Collins and Markkanen, both strong plays on FanDuel. Markkanen is $400 cheaper, so probably prefer him there. And then Jimmy Butler at 8K. Keegan Murray's fine at 5.8 on FanDuel. He is cheaper there, but obviously I always prefer him on DraftKings because you're kind of just hoping that he gets hot and hits 5, 6 threes, and obviously gets the 3-point bonus over there on DraftKings. But 5.8, not the worst option in the world there to find lineups. And then I guess the last guy I'll throw out there in terms of a contrarian value option, Derek Jones with Kawhi Leonard out. Would like to see the starting lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if he cracks the starting lineup again. I know they went to Dunn over him last game, but especially if Amir Coffey is also out, he would almost be a lock to start. So I wouldn't mind Derek Jones if he's able to start.
All right, we got some news. Javonte Green is going to start for New Orleans. Does that change anything for you?
No, I mean, it just if anybody had Matkovich in their lineups, he's probably out of play now, especially with all the value that you have in Slate. He's just unpredictable with the minutes. I would assume he's probably going to be in that 16 to 18 minute range now, and not interested in Green. So doesn't really affect the Slate too much.
I'm kind of with you. And then Aaron Holiday starting to don't really love him compared to the other values.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to DraftKings. Center, where is obviously going to be the top projected play, followed by Jovic, and some really good plays at the position. Who do you like? And are you trying to get two centers into your lineups, or just kind of seeing how it unfolds?
Yeah, I do think it's pretty easy to get two centers in lines. I don't think it's a slate where you have to slam two of them in there, but with Ware and Jovic, who's power forward and center eligible, those are two really strong plays there. Obviously, yes, they're both on the same team, and we've got a couple questions about playing both of those guys. I think it's totally fine. Both of these guys are able to fill up the stat sheet pretty much top to bottom. I mean, Ware's not going to go out there and drop 7 or 8 assists like Jovic does have the upside to do, but they can both definitely produce in more ways than one. So you can definitely play both of those guys. Şengün is a spend up that I actually like quite a bit. I mean, we've just seen guys absolutely crush the Warriors lately on the glass. And again, it is a little bit of a narrative type thing, but Warriors on the second half of back-to-back, we saw Steve Kerr complaining about it, getting into Houston at 3 or 4 in the morning for this game on a back-to-back, already being dominated on the boards by centers. Şengün, I would not be surprised to see like a 14, 15 plus rebound game for him if he can stay out of foul trouble and if this game stays close. So he's a tournament option that I like quite a bit.
Yeah, I like that. Other guys I don't mind, I mentioned Naz Reid at 7,100. Do you have a take on Missy? I kind of like wearing Jovic a little bit better. And if you look at his game log, he just hasn't had a high ceiling. Probably my famous last words there. But I guess a lot of guys are missing for the Pelicans.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's fine. He's one of those guys you're kind of hoping that you get the upside on in terms of the stocks. He's not going to overly benefit from Zion and whatnot being out. I guess Zion being out, his rebound rate might go a little bit up. But in terms of usage rate, he's not a high usage guy, so he's not going to benefit there. But again, you feel a little bit better about the minutes. 29 to 31, I would say, is a pretty good range for him. So I would say he's a good leverage play, but definitely prefer Ware and Jovic over him there.
All right, cool. FanDuel center, and then we will start answering some questions.
Yeah, so Ware obviously projects really well. If you look at the numbers there, he's going to be in a lot of lineups, and I think rightfully so. I think if you were going to make a pivot on FanDuel, I think Missy could be an option there. Again, if you're rostering him, you're basically hoping that he gets 10 plus rebounds and has like 3 or 4 blocks, and obviously it's even more viable on FanDuel with the additional scoring there in that stat. But Ware can also do the same thing. So it's a little bit tricky. We have Ware projected for more minutes as well, and probably a softer matchup there with Dallas missing all of their players, and Missy's going to have his hands full with Sabonis. So I think it's more of a tournament play, just a strictly game theory play. Zubac as well, with no Walker Kessler. Probably going to see either a smaller lineup there for Utah, or we're going to see some inexperienced guys playing some time at the 5. So Zubac at 8-1, don't mind him. He's been pretty solid with Kawhi Leonard off the floor as well. So I think him and Şengün are probably the two pivots that you're looking at if you're not playing Khalil Ware. But on FanDuel, where you have to play just one center and there's not many guys who have dual position eligibility, I think Khalil Ware is mostly just going to be the guy.
All right. Just had an ownership update. So just refresh a couple things if you are in lineup HQ. So DraftKings right now, James Harden coming in as the highest owned guy at 39%, followed by Jovic at 29% and Ware at 29%. I think single entry, you kind of lock those 3 guys. After that, we got Alvarado, Prosper, Dinwiddie. Again, I think we both agreed that we like Dinwiddie over Alvarado a little bit. And then on FanDuel, Prosper coming in at 44%. You mentioned you don't mind looking at Najee Marshall as kind of a pivot away from the popular Prosper. So I like that call. Followed by Ware at 44%, Ware at 34, Harden at 44, and then Dinwiddie up 34 as well. All right, let's get to some questions. I'll try to scroll up in the chat a little bit. Okay, Hero or Harden on FanDuel?
I mean, I like Hero quite a bit, but if you have the salary for both of them, Harden's going to project a lot better. So I'll go Harden there.
Yeah, I'll prefer Harden, but I think I'm going to end up playing both in my main lineup. Okay, can we play and Jovic in the same lineup? I think we kind of both answered this already, but might as well get it on record.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can. Like I mentioned earlier, they both kind of do multiple things. So you can easily see a guy score 15 plus points while the other one gets 4 or 5 stocks, especially where with the stock upside. So yeah, these guys can both fill up the stat sheet top to bottom realistically. So you can definitely play both.
All right, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Pods and Moody are starting for the Warriors. Does that change anything for you?
Not a ton. I mean, if you're playing 150 lineups and you wanted to get Moody and Pods in there a little bit, you can. But I just think there's so many other value options. So realistically, the only reason you're going to these guys is just to strictly be different and get some leverage. But I think you can even find better leverage plays, just strictly projection wise, and then ownership wise. So I think I'll probably stay away from those guys for the most part.
All right, we had a question about Ben Simmons on FanDuel. Probably a no for me. What about you?
Yeah, definitely a no. I mean, it's just the projection in terms of where you could even see him in terms of a range of outcomes in minutes is super high. I mean, he could play 10 minutes. He could play maybe like 22 minutes, I suppose. Maybe if Coffee's out, he plays a couple more. But yeah, I think there's just too much volatility there, and there's a lot of other much better plays in the slate.
All right, what do you think of these odds for who's going to score the most points? I assume not fantasy points, actual points. Powell minus 120, Harden 105, plus 105. Who you siding with there?
Who was the first one?
Norman Powell and James Harden.
I think I prefer Powell. I have Powell for 26.8, and I have Harden for 23.7. So I'll go Powell.
Okay, minus 120. Odds posted by LNS in the chat. I like it. Okay, single entry Wiggins, who is out. Brooks, or maybe Aaron Wiggins.
Aaron Wiggins, yeah, probably.
Brooks or Murray.
I'll go Keegan Murray there.
I'll go Keegan Murray too. Keep scrolling a little bit. I'll take a break. So how do you approach each slate? How many lineups are you building? What type of contest do you like to enter?
Yeah, whenever I'm on a show up to lock, I just do one lineup. It's just, especially with all the news going on. But yeah, so just one lineup over on FanDuel, and that's pretty much the single entry. Try to ideally have as small of a contest as possible while maximizing the size of the pool. But yeah, just one lineup on these crazy slates.
Yep, I'm the same way. But I'm the same way every slate. But especially when we're doing a show, it's a little tough to adjust on the fly. Okay, is it a bad idea to play Harden and Powell in the same lineup on FanDuel?
I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea, but I do think that there's more optimal ways to build. Like there's plenty of guys in that price range. For example, you can play Harden and then Tyler Hero. And there's a couple other guys in that range as well at the guard position. So, you could definitely have worse combinations, but I personally would prefer just having one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Harden Hero combo better than Harden or Harden Powell. Okay, DK Cash, 2v2, Najee Marshall and Ant, or Kessler and SGA.
I will go with Najee and Ant.
I will too, kind of by a landslide. Although I'm not sure, I don't know. Got to be careful. You got to have the swap ready with Ant, especially in the cash game scenario there.
Yeah.
Okay. DeRozan is the last piece into a lineup. Is that fine?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, he's probably not like in terms of super high up on my short list there, but I don't think he's a terrible play by any means. It's a good matchup for him.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. He did have excellent numbers with Fox off the floor, but now that you put Levine on the floor, probably neutralizes that a little bit. Okay, Matt Smith asked Nas Reed or Jalen Green for DK Cash. I'm going to side with Nas Reed just because he's treated me well all year, but what do you say?
Yeah, I think for Cash, definitely Nas Reed there.
Okay, any Luke Garza love on DK single entry small field GPP?
I think on a different slate, or maybe even on this slate, but without the Bam news, I think he could be in play here with no Rudy. But I just think that you can just go in with the Miami guys more. But if you're playing 20 plus lineups, definitely don't hate getting him in there as that 3,100 piece on DraftKings.
Yeah, if he can somehow get his way into 20 minutes, could be interesting. 3,100 is not too bad.
Yeah.
Okay, FanDuel single entry, rank Max Christie, Najee Marshall, and Jovic.
I will go Jovic, Marshall, and then Christie.
I'll go Jovic, Christie, and then Marshall. But I do like Marshall as a pivot away from Prosper. Okay, did we mention Trey Murphy? Yes, we did. We both very high on him. I think a couple of the guys before on GrindersLive said that he was the slate breaker. So yeah, I love Trey Murphy. Okay, Harden or Ant? You only have one.
I'm going to go Harden straight up, but I do think Ant's a really good tournament play, but I think, just that question, I'll go Harden. Yeah,
same. If you can get both, that's cool too. Okay, George or Collier straight up on DraftKings?
George.
Same. Okay, still with some tilting going on because we don't have any Ant news. Okay, from Meldog, FanDuel, single entry, Sabonis and Alvarado, or Harden and Jovic?
It's going to be Harden and Jovic for me, but I mean, I guess if you're looking to get contrarian, Sabonis would be the pivot, but for me, it's the second option pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm with you. Thoughts on Jaden Hardy?
I was looking at him a little bit in terms of his usage rate. I just can't get behind the minutes. They were playing Brandon Williams over him yesterday. Brandon Williams was in the game at the end of the game when they were trying to make free throws. So it's kind of hard to really pin down where Hardy stands in this rotation. So if he plays, he's going to have a lot of usage, but I just can't count on his minutes. So probably going to be a pass for me.
Yeah, he used to be one of those guys that we would just lock in when Luka was out. So, yeah, interesting. What did you think about the Luka trade anyway?
I mean, obviously, after the injury for Anthony Davis, it looks bad. I think it was a horrible trade regardless, and it turned even worse for him. I just think it's, Luka's a top 5 player, and in terms of even a business standpoint, he's got to be one of the highest, money bags, I guess. Just so much popularity all around the world, really. So, yeah, just a brutal trade. Honestly, I would prefer Luka in Dallas with from a fantasy perspective, but I think Dallas definitely got the short end of the stick there.
Yeah, such a weird trade. It does suck for Mavs fans, man. They got to be.
Oh yeah.
So mad. Jalen Green on FanDuel. I think he's perfectly fine. Is Amen Thompson gonna go lower on now?
Yeah, I think he'll be fairly low. I mean, it's kind of hard to see a lot of people going him over guys like Hero and Harden and maybe even Anthony Edwards, Norman Powell. So I do think he'll be pretty contrarian. And I talked about this rebounding matchup here a couple times now against the Warriors, and obviously he can get in there and grab 10 plus rebounds any given night. So I think it's a strong spot. He did play 41 minutes last night, so you kind of got to wonder how often can he continue to play 38 plus minutes, especially on a back-to-back. But he's done it all year, so at least since he started, entering the starting lineup. So 38 plus minutes seems reasonable again in a game with a 1.5 point spread. So I think he's a good tournament play.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. And what happened to the All-Star game festivities? I mean, growing up, I would look forward to them. I record them on my VHS and then just play them over and over again. Kind of do the 3-point contest in my living room. So what was your favorite competition growing up, and do you still watch them now?
Yeah, honestly, I think it might be because with the career path, it's such a natural break. I'm kind of I'll just use the time to get away from it. And then when you have the dunk contest featuring no shade to Mac McClung, but when you're calling up G League guys to do the dunk contest, the highlight of the All-Star festivities in my life was when Gerald Green did he blew the candle out. Okay. That's when and obviously Aaron Gordon was doing it way back then with the Magic, and that's when the dunk contest was at its prime. So back then I loved the dunk contest, but now they can't get anybody to participate, and I guess rightfully so. These guys don't want to get hurt; they want to enjoy their time off as well. But you get to watch Buzelis go out there this week. I think Julian Strawther's doing or something like that. But right now I prefer the 3-point contest. At least you have some guys who are out there doing it. But dunk contest is just kind of a thing of the past, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you. 3-point contest is my favorite now. You know what I missed is the NFL Pro Bowl when they did the quarterback competitions, and they had those on the video games. Those were try to hit the moving targets and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we've got some more questions from Discord. FanDuel Cash, Alvarado, Thompson, and Powell, or Hero, Marshall, and Monk. It's kind of a tough one. A lot of names.
Yeah. I think I'll prefer the Hero side. It's close.
I'm going Hero too. I do like the Thompson play in tournaments, but I think I'm gonna go with you. Hero, Marshall, and Monk. FanDuel single entry, Amen Thompson or Trey Murphy at small forward.
I'll go Amen Thompson there. I do like Murphy quite a bit, but on FanDuel specifically, I think Thompson is just better for that scoring. So I'll go Thompson there.
Yeah, I'd probably lean Murphy, but man, starting with Thompson, you can just eat a bunch of chalk around him and feel pretty good in single entry. So I like that quite a bit. Okay, Edwards or Mitchell, last piece in single entry and cash.
I'm guessing this is Kessler Edwards and Davion Mitchell. I'll go Edwards there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a strong take. Okay, DK, GPP, pick 2, Dinwiddie, Alvarado, and Christie. I like this question.
Yeah, it's tough. I think I would probably go Dinwiddie and Christie. I think those guys are the safest bet for minutes, but I mean Alvarado does project really well, but I'll go with the 2 Dallas guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I currently have Alvarado tagged. I need to tag him real quick. Okay, FanDuel single entry is playing Alvarado, Murphy, and CJ together fine tonight.
No, I think I'm probably staying away from that. I think you can play 2 of those guys, especially. Well, I guess I would say you can play one of Murphy and CJ with Alvarado, but I would not be playing Murphy and McCollum together.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Put 2 of them. They just all need a lot of usage, so it's probably going to be hard for all 3 of them to get there. Okay, let's back to the YouTube chat. FanDuel, GPP, we talked about Harden and Powell being fine in the same lineup, but we prefer Harden and Hero. Najee or Christie on DK?
I'm going to go with Najee there.
Okay. He spelled it with 2 E's. I got confused for a minute.
Najee Harris.
Yeah.
Still in football season.
Going back. Any love for Cam Whitmore? I think on most slates I would, but probably not for me in small field stuff.
Yeah, there's just so many guys in that range. But if you're not a fan of the Dallas chalk, Whitmore is a leverage play in that range.
Okay, thoughts on Matkovich now that he's not starting?
Yeah, he's probably out of the pool for me now. I wasn't super high on him, especially with all the Dallas news and Miami news. But yeah, I don't think you touch him now.
All right, sweet. Last question: Dinwiddie or Marshall on FanDuel?
I will take Dinwiddie there.
Okay. Yeah, right there with you. All right, we got about 1.5 minutes until lineup lock. Are you watching any interesting shows right now?
I saw the new Night Agent show on Netflix. Well, new season 2. Just finished that a couple days ago. It's pretty good. The season 1 was better. And then Paradise on Hulu. I started watching last night, so that's been pretty good. What about you?
Okay. Are you caught up on Paradise?
I haven't watched the most recent one, but I got the first 3 done.
Okay, yeah, it's a really good show. So yeah, we're watching that. We're watching the new season of Severance. Wild show. Have you seen that one?
I haven't, but I've had multiple friends tell me I got to watch it, so I still got to watch the first season. So it's definitely on the list.
Yeah, you got to get through like the first 3 episodes. It's a little weird at first, but I've heard of Night Agent is good. I think my brother-in-law told me about that one.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we get out of here?
No. Hopefully everyone enjoys the well-deserved couple days off. If you've been grinding NBA the past few months, it's definitely deserved. So hopefully it's a good one for everybody.
Yeah. Enjoy the long weekend, and hey, if you need a sweat, I'll have a lot of golf showdown stuff up for rounds 2 through 4. Just one event in Torrey Pines. Didn't get Riviera, but Torrey's good second option. So, all right, that'll do it for us. Appreciate you guys watching. Hit the thumbs up button before you get out of here, and we will see you next week.